So Tucker Carlson just got done with what's considered the biggest interview of the year as he traveled over to Russia and spoke with Vladimir Putin for hours. And he is, of course, getting a lot of pushback for this, mostly from liberal Democrat media sources, legacy media, MSNBC, CNN, but also from some conservative sources as well. And is this pushback deserving? Is Vladimir Putin a guy whom you never talk to? Even if you're a journalist, this is just somebody you never give a platform to, no matter what. Even if you believe in freedom of speech, even if you believe in investigation or allowing people to share their points of view, there's just some people you never allow to get in front of a camera and then to broadcast to the world at large. Or are these critics ridiculous in their critique? Tucker Carlson is going to weigh in on this very issue. What does he think about the people who are saying that his interview with Vladimir Putin is wrong? It's a little over 2-minute clip here, but I think it's important. Check out what Tucker has to say about this.
Do you have an explanation, a reasonable explanation, why there is this anti-war and this very negative remarks about this interview from a lot of your colleagues and a lot of politicians in the world?
One of the ways that I think I'm different is I don't like the internet, and I haven't seen any of the reaction. And I would imagine, I'm not the most popular person among my colleagues in the United States. I wouldn't have dinner with them anyway, so it's no great loss. But I can't imagine what their motives would be. I didn't go to Russia, of course, to promote Vladimir Putin. And if that was my purpose, I'd say so, because I'm not embarrassed. I went because I felt that most Americans, in whose name all of this is being done, don't really know what's happening, and they know nothing about the guy they're supposedly at war with, unofficially. And I just felt that my job, if I have a job in this world, is to bring information to people so they can decide. And so I wanted to do the longest interview I could with Vladimir Putin that contained the most amount of Vladimir Putin talking, not me grandstanding about what a great person I am. When an American journalist interviews someone like Vladimir Putin, the whole point of the interview is to say, I'm a good person and you're not. And that interview was aimed at his colleagues in the newsrooms in the United States. I'm a good person. Why are you such a bad person? You're committing genocide. Okay. That's not fruitful, and that's certainly not my role. I care what God thinks of me, what my wife thinks of me, and what my 4 children think of me, and that's all I care about. So I don't need to prove that I'm a good person. I want to hear Vladimir Putin talk so people in my country can assess what's happening. That's it.
I'll use the devil's advocate.
But advocate away.
Yes. Okay, I'll tell you. You should challenge in the rules of an interview, and you're a master in your business. It's not for me to give you a lecture about that, but you should challenge some ideas. For instance, you didn't talk about freedom of speech in Russia. You did not talk about Navalny, about assassinations, about restrictions on opposition in the coming elections.
I didn't talk about the things that every other American media outlet talks about.
Why?
Exclusively.
Yes, this
because
is my
those
question.
are covered, and because I have spent my life talking to people who run countries in various countries and have concluded the following: that every leader kills people, including my leader. Every leader kills people. Some kill more than others. Leadership requires killing people. Sorry. That's why I wouldn't want to be a leader. That press restriction is universal in the United States. I know because I've lived it. I've asked my former, I've had a lot of jobs. And I've done this for 34 years, and I know how it works. And there's more censorship in Russia than there is in the United States, but there's a great deal in the United States. And so, at a certain point, it's like people can decide whether they think, what countries they think are better, what systems they think are better. I just want to know what he thinks.
So let's talk about this. Tucker starts off by saying that he doesn't like the internet, and he's alluding to the fact that he's not looking at what all of the critics are saying about him. He's not concerned with this. However, based off his response, he clearly does know what the critics are saying about his interview with Putin because he addresses that specific issue. Because the real big problem that those who are giving him pushback have is that he gave Vladimir Putin too much of a platform to speak about what he wants to in sort of a free way, without a lot of pushback, without a lot of editing. And Tucker's saying, listen, we've seen that. We've done that. We know what that looks like. I wanted to give this man, who the American people are paying hundreds of billions of dollars to stop, I wanted to give you an opportunity to see what this man is like, to let him speak so you can watch it. unfettered, not unedited, but a drastically lower amount of editing that would have been done on other media sources. And I'm not going to just hit him with question after question after question, like this guy came out as the devil's advocate and said, oh, I'm going to talk to you about all of the media restrictions, the assassinations, and this other stuff. Just let Putin speak so you can see him. And so when Tucker went with this goal, he says, look, listen, I'm not trying to impress anyone else. Okay, I want to impress God, I want to impress my wife, I want to impress my children, or said something like that, right? That's who he's concerned with. He's not concerned with anyone else. And when he went to the interview to do it the way he wanted to do it, he doesn't necessarily care. I think that this is fine. And I think that after he got done with this interview, anyone watching with an open mind and with any kind of intelligence would look at Putin and say, wow, this is a manipulative, slimy guy, right? You came away from that interview knowing like, this is a bad dude, right? Like you didn't think like, oh, wow, he's like just a really good guy. No. This guy was manipulating so much different information in that interview and clearly presenting things with a completely skewed and biased point of view. Now, he does have some points from his side because the American government is by no means fully on the right on this. Definitely not. The American government has done some incredibly wrong things, especially leading up to this war. And we have, and when I say we, I'm not talking about the American people, but our leaders have instigated in many ways the conflict that is happening right now and definitely have not tried to stop it. There are war hawks in our government. Right now, it tends to be the Democrat Party who want this war machine to be raging on. There's a lot of money in it. They have a lot of people in their pocket who have a lot of businesses in it. Our politicians are making a lot of money. See, when they take $100 billion package and they spend this money on Ukraine, that $100 billion is being funneled to so many different people, and none of them are you. And it's a machine that our representatives can keep going, okay? And they're in charge of voting these packages through, which is insane. Like they basically have the ability to funnel money to themselves through this corrupt system and to the people who are going to basically pay them back. It's very, very dirty situation. And Tucker's saying if the American people are going to be taxed and paying for this, they might as well know who they're doing this for. So let's give this guy an opportunity to speak. Now, I don't think he came off looking good, but I respect a journalist doing this. And I believe people are smart enough not to have the media tell them, listen, you don't need to look at what Vladimir Putin's going to say. You just listen to what we're going to tell you he is. That's all you need to know, okay? So much so that we're going to just shut down Tucker Carlson's interview because you're too stupid to look at Vladimir Putin, what he's saying, and to be able to decipher what's right and wrong. So allow us to tell. See, that's what we have right now. And they're not going to stop. Our government censorship, the media censorship, is going to get worse over time. For your safety and for your protection, they're going to do it for you so that there's no misinformation and disinformation. We need to shut this down for your good, for the public good. That's the direction they're going to keep pressing forward in. If you don't believe it, your head is buried in the sand. And I would rather move towards a more open and free discussion. I would rather put somebody on a platform who is a terrible person and allow them to share their point of view. I believe there's a lot less danger in that than allowing entities who are in power to control those things. That is a far more dangerous thing. And that's the direction that our government and the legacy media is moving in. And I think that's Tucker's real point. He wants to fly in the face of that. And if that means opening up the discussion for a person who you normally wouldn't allow to be able to do that, then he's going to do that. And that's what he did. And I think that that's fine. I think that's what he's really trying to express here. Because when you do that, you really give the people the power to decide for themselves. Now, hopefully, as people are watching this, they're not like, wow, Putin's a great guy. But who is watching this and thinking that? Like, you have to be like delusional to be thinking that. But somehow the media and the government think that's going to happen. But really, I think the next step that Tucker needs to take here is he really needs to investigate the corrupt moves of our government, of the United States, because that's really where it's at. We already know that Russia under Putin's leadership is just been terrible, right? But our government is just been so corrupt and manipulative in this entire situation, and they're not being called out for it. In some areas they are, but there really needs to be investigation in that area right now. Of course, the legacy media is going to say that it's conspiracy, misinformation, disinformation. The American people need to decide on this, but I think more and more people are starting to recognize the truth here when it comes to that, and are getting sick and tired of our money being funneled to so many other people. When why don't we just keep it here for the American people? I mean, wouldn't that just make sense? Can't we just do that for a little amount of time? What do you all think about this? Leave your comment below. I'll catch you on the next video.